Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, hi.
Good, good.
Hello.
Should we start? Rounding up the first one.
I can't remember where I saw the migration plan now. I believe it's something that Dylan and Adam wrote. And it say that we're gonna use streaming replication to migrate the data. I'm just wondering, like, how does that impact the tables? Do you know if would there be any requirements on the tables, madam?
So just link the plan. So as far as I understand, what we will have is a full replication of the main GitLab database at some point. And after we switch over, so the CI database table, the CI models will start using the new database server. After the migration, we will start slowly cutting out the tables what we don't need. Like we don't need the projects table, the issues table. So that will be like an extra step where we eliminate these unnecessary and unneeded tables.
Okay, cool.
Yes, just adding some visibility here. For what I quickly spoke with Dylan and other colleagues, like we have two options here. One will be doing the approach that you said, using stream replication to replicate all the data in this new database. And when you do this failover, it will be a bit more traumatic because you're pausing some components and redirecting there. And other approach will be to keep the stream replication, in a moment promote the secondary database for CI, and keep replicating there until you catch up what is being inserted with logical replication. And then the process can be more smooth or faster to be done. Is one of the things that I understood we will test in a benchmark environment, and we will try to propose solutions for it, okay?
Yep. Oh, cool. That makes sense. It's just that, yeah, we have to kind of support like exactly the same table structure for time being in the application.
Yes.
Is it expensive? Well, to have more streaming replication? I mean,
Stream replication will replicate everything that is happening on one database to the other.
yes.
The problem is like in the moment of the failover, you will have to stop all your application in part and then execute the promotion in the other side. Because how it works is stream replication. You have a primary and you're sending the streams to the secondaries, but your secondary here doesn't receive writes. And you will have to stop for a minute or for a second and execute a promotion there, okay? When you do that, you will get a delta here or something that you're canceling or saying errors. We're giving some, let's say, few seconds of errors to the application. What I'm proposing or what we can test is you do the stream, you get like most of the data there. Then you create a lot of logical replication. And before having this traumatic, let's say, few seconds, what you do? You let this sync up with logical. And when it's already in sync, like you have all the transactions in both databases equally, you execute a failover with the endpoints to write in this database that was already promoted. And this could reduce a bit the impact.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one thing. So if I understand correctly, let's say if we do this switchover, then actually the whole database will be affected. So all routes will be affected because we have to wait until the complete replication for all tables finishes, right? So it's like
Yeah. We will have to stop all the, I think here we're trying to migrate CI to a new database, right? You will have to stop all the traffic from CI. You will have errors for the time that you apply all the replication lag. That's the streaming. Okay, you applied everything, then you can promote. This promotion takes some seconds. Then you could like restore the endpoint to this place. What I'm saying here is like, we will have like an impact maybe under 1 minute. That is fine, but we can reduce this to a few seconds if we do with logical, or at least is the thought of the theory behind.
Yeah. I understand that. What I didn't get is that you say that we cut the CI tables, but actually the other part of the application will still produce data, right? There will be inserts and updates, and that also needs to be synchronized or replicated to the new server. So by cutting the CI tables, you are not gonna stop the replication, right?
When you stop the string, you stop all. You're right with that. And then what I'm proposing, the proposal is just with the logical, we just replicate the tables that we need in case CI. For example, the table issues, users, and all of this, we don't touch. We don't send a new stream. But yes, when you do the stream, you replicate everything. You're right.
Yeah, okay, I got it, thanks. And I was looking into the part how we can reuse the user impact. So ideally, I mean, if we can get this done in a very short period of time, a few seconds, then we can put some stuff in place on the application layer or the load balancer layer that maybe failed request can be retried for this specific period. So let's say if we can do this under 10 seconds, and I would say if we get some sort of error from the PG bouncer that the database is not available, we can sleep a little in the application or at the load balancer level and retry the request. But for this, to actually start working on this, I would say we need some benchmarking.
Yes, the idea is to use benchmark. Let me tell you, the whole theory that we are talking about here, I wanted to use for major upgrade versions in Postgres. And the whole theory is to use as well what you said. In PG Bouncer, we can use pause for a few milliseconds, depending on the volume of data that we are talking about. We could, like in theory, let's say at middle of 3 a.m. when we have a low peak of requests, put the application in pause, in the PG Bouncer pause. Your latency will increase to answer to the application, but still the requests are there. And then we redirect to the new database and resume. But this needs to be tested. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Follow up. After, let's say we're successfully fail over to CI. Do we know when are we gonna drop the tables that we don't want in this database?
In the new database or in the old one?
New one, like issues and.
This after we do the, because when you think like after the moment that you did logical replication or the stream, the failover of your application, we need to understand which tables you need and which not. And then you can truncate them after a few hours. I think it's even healthier to do this as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Because in case that you are getting some data from this new database, we are getting some not fresh data, you know? So can be
yeah. I don't want something to accidentally read issues
So
from the CI database. Very confusing.
One suggestion here is when we will do the failover, rename the other tables. Let's say what was CI, we can say like old CI or whatever, historical CI or whatever.
So ideally, if we continue, you know, to test if we can do the separation in the application code, we could use what Andreas proposed, schemas, and with schemas and search path, we can actually prevent access from specific connections to these CI tables. So we can make sure that there are no cross connections or cross queries and cross joins between these tables. So we can safely remove the tables without worrying that, oh, we might have a query that joins the issues table. So we can get rid of this early.
Yeah, I believe that we should specify these steps. I think all of them make sense. Or use a different schema or rename the tables. All of this before we access the live traffic there. Because if you have any impact, we will see in the tests even.
just out of curiosity, how would you do this cutover? Would you just write a script that, okay, now I'm going to PG bouncer, I will disable or pause the requests, and then I don't know, write some script to set up the replications? So would you automate the whole process with a script, or just do it?
I think we can do this in Ansible, will be the best way.
Mhm.
We can automate all these steps in Ansible is what I had in mind for our previous migrations. Also, I am not sure if PG Bouncer will support all of what we're proposing here. I hope, because we're talking about just then it will be something interesting. For example, if we could route the CI request to the database to a new PG Bouncer pool, will be even better, because we can leave the whole database working, Sidekick, Web API normally. And if we will have a third pool from PG Bouncer that will be just for CI, this will be amazing, because we can pause just the traffic that is being redirected, you know?
Yeah, so that's the idea, that for all CI models in the Rails application and Sidekick will have a completely different connection that is dedicated, that only sees the CI tables. So ideally, if you have a PG bouncer that is only configured for CI tables, then we can use that.
This will be awesome. One question, do you know if you are in transaction mode or in session mode for CI? I think transaction, no?
I think there is no change there. I mean, we didn't really look into that, but I think the same configuration will apply, so it will be transaction mode. So we are trying to adapt the current load balancer in the application to work with multiple databases, multiple pools.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like the idea of renaming. That means we don't even need to use the schema, because we're having issues with schemas. There's a lot of steps to get to a different schema. So maybe I can think about it if it shortens path.
So you mean renaming the old CI tables? Or
Yeah, the OCI tables on the main database, and remaining the non-CI tables on the CI database. So.
I realize I jumped in halfway through this conversation. You may have already figured out some of this. But one thing I've been thinking about with the new CI database is it sort of doesn't matter that it will have all the new tables that aren't necessarily in the CI schema. I checked to see that if you have migrations in the migrations table that aren't migrations that are available in your migrations, that doesn't cause any extra problems. So I don't know if we have any validation that's actually going to run into problems, the fact that there are tables in there that are not in structure.sql. I mean, we don't use structure.sql for reduction as well, as far as I understand.
yeah, the structure.sql file is not going to be read by the application, so it's fine.
Yeah, so structure.sql file is not read by the application. It doesn't matter when it comes to running migrations. It doesn't matter that there's extra tables there as well as extra schema migrations in the schema migrations table. So it just doesn't matter that we'll be cutting over to a new database that happens to have all of the data and tables pre-populated that are not relevant to this current schema.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. That's news to me.
Yeah, one thing when you run the migrations, what we do is we dump the schema. So if we have a really small database and then we just run a migration, then the whole schema file will be dumped. And that might be a bit big. So our schema file is huge.
We don't dump schema in production, right?
We don't?
No.
I thought after every migration we do that.
Yeah, but Rails has a setting that
You disable it.
Stops dumping schema in production by default.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I was thinking about this potentially being a problem a while ago, and I've been trying to figure out what problem might actually arise from this. That one problem is that it's kind of like a dirty hack. We're never going to run any of these migrations. We're never going to, because the migrations will have already been run on that database, and we will at some point need to delete a whole bunch of tables from that CI table. But we won't do that via migrations because our CI structure and everything else in our previous migration history will not know that that database contained any of those CI tables. However, this is why I kind of liked what Andreas was saying, where we just keep like all the same migrations in the same structure file, because it's like that makes this hack a little bit less of a hack because they are actually the same schema. But it will work either way, as far as I'm aware, unless somebody has other concerns I haven't thought of.
Yeah, we weren't sure the impact because I was asking like streaming replication. Does that mean that the two data structures need to be the same? And the answer is yes. Then you're saying the DBCI structure doesn't get used anyway, so it shouldn't matter in theory, which is nice, but it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it'll definitely be confusing because you'll just have these two databases that are identical. And yeah, I mean, mostly nobody will be exposed to that. And at some point when we do a cleanup, then they will diverge. But
yeah,
until we need to clean up them, they won't diverge.
Yeah, we do. So the thing that will impact is how we structure migrations are run, like the actual migrations.
Well, the migrations will never actually run on the CI data, the new CI database, because they will have already run. When we use the streaming replication, all those databases migrations are going to be marked as already completed.
Oh, it will. Yeah, it will. Yeah.
So we'll cut over and it'll just look like, okay, all the migrations have already run, there's nothing to do, which again is kind of like a bonus for like actually having the same set of migrations and the same structure file, because like it's all more conceptually sound that you did actually run those migrations at some point. Yeah, it will only be different if we happen to have migrations that only run on the CI database, and we already don't plan on doing that for some time well after the actual migration, the switch has run.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because the schema migrations will be streamed, synced as well, replicated as well. And then at some point after the cutover, then we can have different things, different migration folders and different CI structures and whatnot.
Yeah, there will be a period of time for anybody looking at the production database, they'll be quite confused about why there's so many empty tables there and why the schema migrations table has thousands of rows when the CI database is only meant to have 2 migrations. That will all look a bit odd, but nothing will break, and we'll just have to explain why that is odd that way for the duration.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Like, in theory, nothing will break, but yeah, yeah, that's we have to test this out.
Yeah, the current plan also involves like switching to that new database as a read replica for CI as well, since we can separate reads and writes for the CI connection. We can have separate in the Rails configuration connect to for CI reads and CI writes. We could actually have CI reads going to the new database well early with this, and probably detecting any problems that might arise from those weird schemas.
Yes, I agree. Cool. That's me. Does anyone else have other things or anything to expand on?
Bye-bye.
Yeah, then see you later. Bye.
Everyone gets 10 minutes back. See you. Thanks.